So then, hello and welcome from my side. My name is Madeleine and I'm from KWT, Gründercampus Saar, and we are very pleased to welcome you to our second pitch session, the Inside Creator Region pitch session round 2. And yes, this session will be divided in 2 parts. First of all, we've called for startups located in the greater region, and we are very pleased to welcome 6 startups who will have each 5 minutes to pitch their idea. And following up to each pitch, you will have time to ask questions. And the questions can be asked via chat or by raising your virtual hand. And then we are also very pleased to announce that not only startups answer to our call, but also 3 projects within the creator region. And after the startups, the projects also have time to present themselves. But before starting with the actual session, some housekeeping rules. Please note that this session is recorded, and if you don't want to be shown by your name, please feel free to change it now in the setting. And the questions, as already mentioned, can be asked by raising your hand or via chat. And the session is not translated and will be in English. Even though our timetable does say something else, we had to reorganize it short term, and therefore we will begin with Alexandre Michel from Molecular Plasma Group, on our only startup from Luxembourg for today. So MPG is a spin-off from 2 research institutes, the VITO from Luxembourg and LIST from the VITO from Belgium and LIST from Luxembourg. And MPG was created in 2016 and has its headquarters in Luxembourg with subsidiaries in Belgium and UK. So Alexandre, you've got 5 minutes and the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Madeleine, for the nice introduction. So first of all, I'm really sorry for the sound. I hope you hear me well. So again, if you have questions, I can try to ask them at the end of the presentation. So thank you for welcoming MPG in this very interesting exchange. So as Madeleine said, we are a spin-off existing since 5 years now. And we are working on very sustainable and powerful, I must say, technology, most unknown, I must say, in the world, and we are very happy to promote this kind of technology. So today, my goal is to present you very briefly, shortly, and as easy as possible what we are doing. In fact, our technology is named Molecular Grip, and we are working on sustainable surface functionalization for adhesive bonding and more. But the topic of today, I think, is very interesting for most of you. Next slide. So here is a small video of typically application we can do. So Teflon tape put on paper, and look at after treatment on the left side. On the right side, sorry, what we can do as bonding. We have a no solvent technology, no emission, and very low energy because it's working at low atmospheric temperature and pressure. So it's very innovative and very powerful in terms of adhesion in very sensitive case. We are a very sensitive substrate in this case, which is paper, and Teflon is, as you know, very sensitive to bond. So here is a typical example of what we can do and what is working well at the moment, and we are for sure developing other solutions for other materials. Next slide, please. Sorry. Oh, yes, thank you. Here are some references we have in the world. So since 5 years, we have been working with a lot of companies, and we have started mostly with laboratories and universities. Now we have already started some projects with Ion Group, Samsonite, Heineken. Docenix is well known in Belgium. We have good partners and providing them such kind of solutions. Next slide. So what are the major industry challenges at the moment? Most of you know that it's difficult to bond inert and sensitive natural materials like cellulose, PLA, PP, ETFE, and paper, as I said, and according to the video you have seen before. Most of the time in the industry, we are using solvent and primer-based solutions, which is in most of the cases very challenging and creating problems in terms of, and this is a major point, with a limited open time of a few hours and sometimes some days. Now with our solution, we have a very huge open time of some months, and in some cases more than a year, which is very interesting for the industries. Again, with existing solutions, we have also a problem, or potentially a problem, of controlling that after application. With our solution, we have optical control that allow you to control the application of the coating on the surface. Next slide, please. So again, yes, we are located in Fürth, a small city in Luxembourg, which is very in the middle of south of Luxembourg, I must say. We are, as I said, we have a plasma lab and the manufacturing there. Our R&D is based there also, and in Leuven, we have exactly the same installations with a training center there. Actually, we have a sales office in the UK, but we are working with agents in most of European countries. What is important for you to know is that we are, in fact, a full service provider. From the application to the research, we are doing tests with our customers to the potential development of the integration on customer production lines. So this is a full service we provide. We are for sure producing machines adapted to your needs. We have already produced machines, standard machines. We can rent them in some cases, depending on the capex you have. This is a very important point also, I think. And we can sell them also, depending on the solution. It's a technology between 150,000 euro and 500,000 euro. Just to give you a brief idea of the budget. We are also a very proprietary technology, as we have now 19 patents to protect our solution. For some of you that already know plasma technology is for sure existing for 20, maybe 30 years on the market. But most of these technologies are very power consumption, very working at a very high temperature. Here we are talking about technology that is very soft with the material. And I think we are not competing against existing Corona and DBD plasma technologies, but we are definitely an extension, or we have a possible collaboration with them just to extend the possibilities we have now. Next slide, please. So again, we are a technology that enables surface functionalization and for even most sensitive and inert material, and using atmospheric plasma vector to draft organic chemistry on any surface. At the moment, we have not seen any limit. It's very important to know. We still continue to learn every day. There are so many possible applications that we are, again, discovering new challenges every day, and we are open to discuss this with them. But at the end, and so far we know, the result is a common surface modification. We are working now on binding solutions, but we have very good results at the moment in hydrophobicity, hydrophilicity, and in variable functionalization and complex biomolecule deposition, like antibodies, for example. Just to give you an idea concerning the variable functionalization, we are the #1 of the only existing company in the world producing face masks. We are using them for the COVID, but totally with the treatment protecting you at the level of 99% against the COVID virus, which is a very big advantage. Now we are producing masks with collaboration with partners, and the production now is around 50 million pieces per year. and it's working very well. It's a technology we have developed recently thanks to COVID, I must say. It's a mess, we all know, but there are some opportunities created thanks to the COVID, and we have jumped in. Next slide, please. So what type of molecules can we inject? As I said, there is no restriction. We are talking about different topics: adhesion improvement, biomolecule immobilization, release coatings, anti-biofouling coatings, virucidal coatings, and antimicrobial coatings also. So there is a huge amount of applications, and as long as we can use in our technology a pure liquid, a mixture, an emulsion, or suspension of molecules, of biomolecules on our substrate. Next slide, please. So what type of shape or size of substrates we can treat? At the moment, yes, for sure, we have produced machines. Most of them are R&D machines, but it's a technology that is scalable. It's very important also. So at the moment, we have a torch, plasma torch, cold plasma torch from 0.5 millimeter to 1.6 meter wide. So we can treat a small area to a large piece of paper or textile for roll-to-roll applications, for example. And it's typically the case for mask production. Next slide, please. So yes, this is already the end of my presentation. I hope it was clear enough. So again, if you have questions, you have our link directly to our internet website, and you have my email address as well as my phone number. Due to the connection and the sound quality, maybe it's preferable to use the mail, or you can call me. But I would enjoy to answer your question if you have some. Please feel free.
Thank you, Alexandre. This was a bit longer than 5 minutes, but thank you for your presentations. And yes, questions can be asked now in the chat or by raising your hand. Any questions? No, I don't think so.
All right, all right.
So then thank you again. And yes, have a nice day, Alexandre.
Thank you, Madeleine. Thank you, everyone. And I hope we will get in touch soon for new challenges.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now I'd like to introduce to you Michel Ringswandel from Collective Thinking. And Collective Thinking is an innovative international company with French roots, specialized in artificial intelligence and semantic analysis in the healthcare sector and the dynamics of new technologies, especially artificial intelligence combined with a steady increase of digitized medical data opens up opportunities for all healthcare stakeholders. So I'm very excited, and Michael, you've got 5 minutes. Sorry, you are still muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now it works.
Fantastic. Now I just have to get back into my presentation. So I see Felix Adam now on my screen. Just, well, try that over. So now it should work. Can you hear me? Hello, good morning. Madeleine, thank you very much for the presentation. I will try to keep in time to give you a little overview of collective thinking. Collective Thinking is an artificial intelligence company dedicated to healthcare institution. It helps simplify, accelerate, and improve the quality of medical coding and further clinical studies. Natalie, I cannot switch the next slide. Maybe you can help me. Perfect. Collective thinking helps simplify, accelerate, and improve the quality of medical coding and further clinical studies, like I said. And on the image, you can say in hospitals, we have a lot of data, mostly unstructured, sometimes not even digital. It needs to be sorted, it needs to get arranged, it needs to get structured, and then we can really use that. And that, I think it's one of the topics we will discuss today at the conference. Next slide, please. So to explain you a little bit better, the most common hospital financing model today is based on a so-called case-based payment system. Care provided to patients by the hospital is not billed to the patients, but to the health insurer. You maybe know that. While the health insurer is indirectly remunerated by the patients through contributions. In order to get reimbursed by the health insurer, the hospital must send a detailed description of the care provided to the patient. This is done through medical coding. Next slide, please. This medical coding activity is carried out in the hospital by the medical information department, which needs to identify and collect key information from the patient's electronic health record, also called EHR. In particular, this department codes the patient's main diagnosis, its associated diagnosis, as well as the medical procedures performed during the hospital stay. Medical coding determines the price for the case that the hospital can obtain from the health insurer afterwards. So it's very important for the hospitals to have to assure their budget and to know how they can plan also for the next year and the actual year. Next slide, please. The problem is that the EHR is made up of a huge collection of medical documents. And Natalie, you can click now 7 times if you want. Hospitalization reports, operating reports, letters, biological results, medical observation notes. The relevant information to be coded must be found in these free texts, which are often very tedious to study. Furthermore, the large number of possible diagnostic codes, the complexity of the coding rules, the volume of data to be analyzed, and the limitation of the current available software tools make this activity very time-consuming and costly. With a potential high error rate, you can imagine if you study that like a whole day, 80 pages sometimes per patient data, that's complicated, and this is leading to impacts in the hospital revenue, and that's very bad. Next slide, please. So we developed a solution which is called Intelligent for Health. Intelligent for Health is a patented AI-based coding assistant software. Next page, please. And Intelligent for Health is connecting to the hospital information system. It centralizes all the documents in the EHR, analyze its contexts using deep learning and semantic analyze algorithms, and make a diagnostic coding proposition. Along justifications found in the text of the medical documents, what I mentioned before, and if it detects files whose coding seems incomplete, an alert is sent to the medical coding team to check these files concerned. The challenge for healthcare institutions are to improve the quality and completeness of coding. You maybe have heard about the new MDK law in Germany. There's even a penalty to pay for the hospital if they code wrong, starting from 300 euros up to a percentage rate of the actual case. And this can really have significant increase in the financial revenue of the hospital, like I mentioned before. Our solution helps to increase the coding quality, and it also saves a lot of time, as I said, if you do this pre-screening of the patient data. It's reducing, of course, the coding relays, and it carried out. It can also be a help to carry out in-depth clinical studies based on the context of the EHR. You remember the first picture I showed you? It's all unstructured data. Afterwards, you not even have only the coding and the right bill. You also have everything structured, and you can use that then in the hospital for further clinical studies. Next slide, please. So today, collective thinking has already integrated the solution in more than 100 hospital sites in France and in Switzerland. I give you some examples and some references on this page. We work within private clinical groups and also within public establishments, including large university hospitals. And we, as you can see, receive very enthusiastic user feedback. For the German market, we founded our subsidiary in 2020. Then we had Corona, so we had a little bit more time to adjust our solution to the German DRG, but we are happy now that we can really operate in France, in Germany, and in Switzerland. That's a short overview of collective thinking. You find my contact information here below. I'm now very happy to answer questions which might appear, and yeah, would be looking forward to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Are there any questions?
There is a question coming in from the chat. Can you please explain the word coding in your context again?
Can you please explain the word coding in your context again? Okay. In Europe, but also in the States and Australia, a total of 21 countries worldwide. It is a so-called DRG system, diagnosis-related group diagnosis. This is used in all these countries, and the hospitals have like a big book of 17 to 20,000 codes, which they need to use for a patient stay. So if you come to a hospital, for example, with a broken leg, and they diagnose the broken leg, you get an X-ray, and you also got taped, and they also check on you, and they will have, for all of these treatments, they have special codes, and it combines then in a certain DRG for in Germany or in France or in Switzerland, and this DRG dedicates the price which the hospital can then charge to the health insurer. So the coding means putting your diagnosis in these codes. The second question is, what is the business model? How do you sell your solution? We work with hospitals, like I mentioned before, so we have a license model which we offer to the hospitals to install our installation in their hospital directly. Maybe there's also a question because regarding data protection. This is not an issue for us because the server and the solution analyze this information directly in the hospital, so no data leaves the hospital or goes further out of the country or out of the city whatsoever. What is your market share in France? Well, with the market share, I can say we are a market leader in France, but it is a niche market, of course. There are coding tools, and we are a coding optimization tool, but there are 3 to 5 other players. We started in France in 2016, and yeah, we're leading the market without, I cannot give you a real a market share in detail, but because it's just a niche market.
Thank you very much, Michael, for answering the questions and also for your presentation.
Thank you very much for the questions and your interest. And yeah, I'm curious about the next startup to present now. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Perhaps we can you can ask more questions in bilateral meetings then.
That would be great. I will be available all day long, also for meetings. I will be part of the panel discussion in the afternoon regarding towards the open European health information space, and we can contact and communicate today, tomorrow, or in the next days.
Perfect. Then we will go on, and I'd like to introduce Professor Dr. Linda Breitlauch from Serious Game Lab. So an intelligent solution for an aging society is an important requirement for our future, and an interdisciplinary team works under the leadership of Professor Dr. Breitlauch in a research laboratory and develops health games for seniors. So the stage is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks for your warm welcome, Madeleine. Can you see me and hear me?
I can hear you, but I cannot see you at the moment.
Okay.
That's just our view. You can be seen as soon as you speak, Professor Breitlauch.
Okay. Okay, so I just start. Yes, my name is Linda Breitlauch, and as you just said, I'm a professor for game design at the University of Applied Science in Trier and the project lead of this project. We are, of course, not a startup. We are an initiative that comes or that was initiated with a lot of project leaders from other institutes at the university. Can you please go to the next slide?
We haven't got any slides.
You haven't got any slides?
No.
Okay. So then, okay. Then I'm sorry, can I share my slides?
Sure. Just
Okay.
ask for the build for the screen.
Okay, okay. Okay, one moment. Oh, I cannot share my slides. Because you have to end your share. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so I hope you can see it now. Yes, this project is founded from the Carl Zeiss Stiftung, and it has a runtime from February this year up to January 25. So we have around 3 years to develop prototypes in the research field senior health games. So we develop serious games in our lab at the University of Applied Science in Trier with this special focus on seniors. Okay. So you saw the last slide, not the next one. I'm sorry about that. Next slide. Yeah, I'm very sorry for that. So I just tell the other points. You can see it's on the slide. Why senior health games? A therapeutic measure is only successful if patients perform exercises independently and repeatedly, even beyond the classic therapy session. Facilitated use in prevention, so we concern about mental health, activity, movement, mobility, and so on. And we see a potential for better social participation via virtual and networked communities. We have several partners in this area. So I cannot show you all the partners in the slides, but just be sure we work together with therapy, science, with programmers, with designers, of course, and what the main topic is to develop prototypes, game prototypes, and then we evaluate them together with the therapists. And yeah, we answer some research questions. For example, supplement of reinforced therapeutic concepts from practice through playful applications for seniors. We develop game concepts, so game mechanics, input-output devices, possibilities of interaction and feedback, which should address senior citizens and achieve sustainable therapeutic effects. We innovative approaches in the field of narration and player guidance in combination with game analytics, and also artificial intelligence. We have bridge to the speaker before, which should strengthen motivation, identification, and the replay value, and thus increase the effectiveness and sustainability of senior health games. Yeah, to what extent can senior health games reduce the therapist's supervision effort and extend therapeutic measures into the home environment through independent exercises is our last questions we want to answer. Okay, what are we looking for? We are looking for any forms of cooperation, such as contacts with the target group, as well as other research institutes. We are looking for an opportunity to present our results at conferences when we are a little bit later in the project. And of course, opportunities to submit further research proposals with other partners. So I think that was a short overview. I'm sorry that you didn't get the slides before, but I hope this was kind of clear. And I thank you very much. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
Thank you. I think it was clear. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Okay.
I don't think so. So thank you again for your presentation.
Thank you very much. Bye.
So now I would like to introduce you Felix Adam from Wanted Ventures. And Wanted Ventures is a startup that is also based here on the campus in Saarbrücken at Saarland University. The focus of the startup is on giving people the opportunity to take their health into their own hands. And the project, which they are about to present, is intended to solve this issue comprehensively with the help of artificial intelligence, life sciences, and so-called biohacking. So Felix, you've got 5 minutes and the stage is yours.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Kann ich nur vor und zurückgehen? Jetzt habe ich es. Okay, super. So, welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you to our short presentation. My name is Felix Adam. I am the managing director of Wanted Ventures. I originally come from the IT industry, where we did software projects for clients, especially automation of processes and individual projects. But the topic we will tackle today is biohacking, as Madeleine said. So, if you haven't heard of biohacking before, biohacking is the process of self-optimization through applied science. Well, what does it mean? An example would be that you take a vitamin C capsule in the morning to improve your immune system with breakfast, or a more blatant example, which you may know from television, would be that you implant a chip in your hand with your bank data on, so that you can pay with your hand at the checkout. But What really makes such a biohacker is that he collects data about his own body with smartwatches, with glucose trackers, with blood tests, as you can see here, and uses this data to improve his own body and his own organism. At least that's the theory, but in reality, it looks pretty different. In Germany, around 12 million people collect scientific health and related information every day with a smartwatch, but they can't really do much with this data. They don't know how to transfer data to applied, what they can do with it. You can read heart data, you can read stress level, you can even know your glucose levels, but to adjust the body accordingly, it usually fails. So, that is why our mission is to define health-related processes in a clear and comprehensive way so that everyone can understand them. Complex biophysical processes that affect the body are collected and analyzed in our database, and the contents are published in a simple and understandable way so that everyone can understand and apply them for themselves. We do that at the moment with our online magazine, videos, and of course, social media. This will not save you a trip to the doctor, but you can react before it's too late. At the moment, we are doing personalized coaching for athletes and young professionals and summarize the results in a study to test our database. The subjects get a biohacking plan that covers all health-related topics like fitness and nutrition plans, stress management, psyche, etc. But we realized if someone always has to take care of you or of people to adjust their biohacking plans, there will always be a staff shortage, just like with doctors. There can never be one person to take care of thousands of people. That's why we took the only effective scalable step and created the world's first digital health and performance assistant. I proudly present to you Mona, if the video works.
Hello, Felix. You wanted a general overview of your health level. Here are your data. Last week's data shows that you trained more intensively than usual. This boosts your fitness level, but puts more strain on your body. I'll adjust your training plan for next week. In general, though, your heart rate evaluation this week is in the green and improving. We are at a heart rate variability of 7 to 6, resting heart rate average 47. Recovery plan will be adjusted for next week. From your nutrition calendar, it appears that you did not meet your calorie goal on Monday and Tuesday and did not complete task 3, take omega-3. Accordingly, I recommend adjusting the dosage for Thursday and Friday. That's it. If you have any questions about adjusting your biohacking plan, feel free to ask me anything you want. I wish you a good week, Felix, and the audience another nice day. See you soon, Mona.
So, in this video, I ask Mona, which is our digital assistant, to tell me a general overview of my health data. So that's what I asked her. And as you could see, Mona is not a real person. She's your personal digital performance and health assistant. She combines all our scientific studies and customizes your biohacking plan based on your personal data. Mona runs on the device of your choice, on your smartphone, tablet, PC, or even your Alexa, without us ever seeing your data. Because in today's world, privacy is very important for such sensitive health data. So we made sure during the development phase that our assistant can act independently of us. So furthermore, Mona is not an app where you have to read and interpret data on your own. Mona will always call you on the phone or contact you via video chat or via WhatsApp or FaceTime and remind you to take your omega-3, for example, without you ever having to actively trigger anything, because you have to think about it and remember it. And as you know, we forget things as humans. So as Mona learns more about you over time, she adapts herself to you so that you can easily incorporate the changes in your everyday life. Social life, such as going out with friends or eating at a restaurant, should always stay a part of your life. Therefore, Mona will help you implement your goals into your daily routines in an easy way without any massive restrictions. Everyone knows that 3 liters of beer, for example, is not healthy. But if you still want to meet friends, it is not easy to always say no. So the next slide. So as you can imagine, it is difficult to create such a complex health model so that it fits everyone and is almost 100% correct. Therefore, we are looking for partners and investors who come from the life sciences especially and can help us with big data and experts to optimize our model, because we need a lot of data to train our AI and assistant in the background. So what we can offer you in return is an insight into our technology and approach, as well as technical expertise in the fields of course, machine learning and automation of processes. So if you embody some of these qualities or know someone who does, feel free to contact me or us. I would be happy to have a lively exchange. So thank you for your attention, and that's it.
Thank you, Felix. So please ask your questions now. So we have a question in the chat. What is the current status of Mona?
So Mona is a system that is created of like 20 parts, and there's a front end, as you know, from an app, and a back end. So the front end is pretty much finished up as it looks right now, and the back end is getting created through our database. So we have a date next year in April where we want to test it like in real life, but to test our database, which is the most important aspect of Mona, we're doing it right now. So we are pretty close to being finished.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I don't think so, but questions can be asked afterwards, and we will forward your contact details then.
Thanks, Madeleine.
Thank you. So now I want to introduce Kevin from AJ Link, our first French startup for today. I hope I pronounced it well. This is a community of healthcare professionals and institutions combining their knowledge and experience around a common goal, the quality of care through an intermediation platform. So Kevin, you've got 5 minutes and the stage is yours.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
I would like to share my screen to have the PowerPoint presentation. There is another. Oh, okay. Can you see the slide?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you for having me. As you know, with this COVID period, the healthcare structure are under great pressure, and human resource is a key point. AJ Link is a marketplace where a human resource manager of care structure like hospital or residential care home can easily find an healthcare worker, mostly for nurses and paramed workers. Our goal is to make it easier to find liberal workers because there is no centralized place for human resource to make their job faster and more efficiently to find the right people. Let's do a quick introduction to the team. There is 2 healthcare workers, and they are both occupational therapists who have a great experience in their field. We have the operational team with a sales manager, a community manager, and me as a CTO.
Sorry, Kevin.
Yes.
We still see the first slide.
Oh.
Yes, now we see the team slide.
Okay. You see the team slide? It's okay?
Yes, now we see the B2B French market.
What about now?
Team slide.
Okay.
Thank you.
So to do a quick introduction to the team, there is 2 health workers. They are both occupational therapists who have great experience in their field. And we have the operational team with a sales manager, a community manager, and me as a CTO. Our target is B2B market. In France, there is about 500,000 liberal workers and 40,000 care structures. public and private. So why the human resource manager should use our service? As you probably know, human resources are struggling to find health workers. We help them to find new people. Although they can control their budget, they can adapt the usage of liberal workers whenever they have a short need or if they need a stand-in. Plus, we have an interview with all our workers, so we ensure the quality of the profile. And since our service is online, there is no infrastructure cost. Here is a testimony of Françoise, which is a care structure director, and she's happy with our service. Next slide. Now, let's see the other side of the coin. Why the healthcare worker should work with us? Compared to an employee monthly salary, a liberal salary is about 200% higher in average. Although we handle all the administrative part with the quotation and invoicing. So the worker just have to focus on their patient. Next slide. Thanks to Dr. Here's another testimony of Caroline, which is an occupational therapist too. And quick word. So next slide. A quick word on how the fields work. It's a SaaS platform and it's freely accessible to all care workers. The human resource manager can post a recruitment announcement, then it's shared across all the correspondent profile we have in our database. And since our proof of concept is validated in our local scale, this year we will expand to the national territory. We have a great opportunity to grow and improve our product to fit the market and users' need. Our startup is 1 year old this month, so we are looking forward to grow again. And if you have any question, feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Any questions for Kevin? No, I don't think so. So then we will come through Eric Gill from Facilien, our second French startup and the last startup for today. Facilien's mission is to put new technologies at the service of good aging and medical and social care. With its experience in the silver economy, Facilien supports professionals in the digitalization of their businesses and services. So Eric, you've got 5 minutes and the stage is yours.
Yeah, hello everybody. Do you guys hear me?
Yes.
Cool. Madeleine, I let you switch the slides, if you don't mind. No, the one before, please. Yeah. So yep. My name is Eric Gill. I have actually 2 heads. I'm the CEO of Facilien. And I have to explain that I'm also the CEO and co-founder of Hakiza, which is the technology behind Facilien. So Facilien is a strange joint venture between the, I would say, the classical techie world, startup, and the home care environment. And the bigger guys behind that is Réseau APA, actually, which is famous and well known in Northeast France, one of the biggest home care organizations around here. And we decided a couple of years back to associate ourselves because technology is good, but you know, people who know which use case and which pain points you have to solve are the people that are going home and take care of people that are aging, handicapped, or fragilized by some, I would say, life parkour, broken people sometimes. So we associated with them, and we created a service, a startup somehow, which goes into organizations, into territories, and helps actually in a B2B mode to develop their, I would say, not IT world, but digital world, try to figure out how to segment different communities, being helpers communities, care communities, professional communities, but also families, also citizens, and volunteering communities that are involved in this environment. So what we try to do is to implement a technology which is called Akiza, which I co-founded 10 years ago. Akiza is already deployed in Germany with the Caritas, the Diakonies, some other territories. This technology is based on, say, a SaaS platform with a configurable, adaptable UX for communities, segmentation of communities. We call this a CEM technology, Community Experience Management technology. And basically, you will never hear about the word Akiza. That doesn't exist. It's actually names of solutions that are already in the field in Germany and in France. So Facilia is an organization that works with home care organization and tries to plug into, I would say, the healthcare path that is right now politically supported, and also with a strong, I would say, somehow advance versus the home care market. So if you can just swap to the next one. So here is a project that we have initiated a year ago, and that Facilia is carrying, which is called PMSR, Plateforme Médico-Sociale Régionale, which means digital medico-social platforms. We have in France lots of territorial and regional e-healthcare platforms, which is usually are called grades, or in our region here it would be Pulsi, Prism. Those are, I would say, a little bit in advance of this home care market, which was a little bit behind, and we decided with Réseau APA and actually with Inesia, which is the e-healthcare platform in the scene of MedTech Strasbourg and for the great region East here. We have decided to develop with those components, mixing with a key word here, which is called interoperability, trying to organize that market segment, I would say organize it digitally. So we have those three players. APAMAD is Réseau APA, we talked about it. Facilia is kind of a project manager and coordination role and integrator here. And Inesia, who takes care of all the, I would say, the sensitivity of data, referential, like OpenEHR, etc. So we have designed a 3-year project here, which is financed actually by the Région Grand Est and by BPI France. Goes over 3 years and is plugged into the French political, I would say, programs like Ma Santé 2022 and the ESMS numérique, which is more linked to the home care arena. So what we want to do here is fix some rules of interoperable digital platforms, create a data hub mixing social data, medico-social data, and healthcare data, and having a more holistic approach over the territory. For sure, integrating AI with some IoT-based capturing measurements, taking care of content, and above all, making it somehow human. That means organizing the communities around all of that and integrating the local ecosystem. It goes up to the business model, which should take, some air or oxygen to the home care organizations who are suffering from low margins and who are going to suffer in the future for our brothers on the other side of the planet, which are the GAFAMs, what we call them, the Google, Apple, Facebook. There are a lot investing in the healthcare scene. So here we try to give also to the local players who have actually no chance when it comes to the end user and the intermediation function, to help them strive their communities and build up some value, and especially plug in an entire healthcare and medico-social. We call this environmental healthcare actually on the territory. So that's a major one for us. It took us a while to get it. And in that perspective, for sure, what my dream is, and you notice I'm speaking also German and French, and Akisa is already in Germany. So I'm looking for international partnerships to deploy this a little bit further than just the Grande Région Est. So if there are people in the room here, they are working on research programs, deployment program, innovation, service innovation programs. We would be very keen on discussing with them. Just two heads up, we're already plugged into 2 projects here. The one is called Territoire de Santé de Demain, which is driven by the Eurométropole in Strasbourg. And another one that is a little bit further in France, which is Meuse, and another one that is also called eNutrive, which is a follow-up of nutrition issues. And all those programs, we are playing a role, and we think that now we should also talk to international partners at some point on those topics. So that's it. I'm sorry to have been a little bit long, but I hope I was clear enough. Any interest whatsoever, just shoot me an email, call me, and we'll be willing to exchange with great pleasure. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Eric. Are there any questions? For the moment, I don't think so. Yes, now we have one question. Can you please show the contact lines again? But again, the note from my side, we will provide you with the contact details of each if you want to. Perfect. Then thank you, Eric.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's been a great round of startups, and we thank you for being part of this session today. And please feel free to contact each and every one of them after the session. I know everyone is curious now about the projects after the pitch session, but first I'd like to speak about a little bit the KWT, the Gründercampus Saar at Saarland University, for which I work. And yes, the Gründercampus Saar is a central institution. The KWT at Saarland University is a point of contact for people interested in founding a company and startups from the region. And in our startup consultation, we help you to develop a business model from your idea, and in workshops, you can further educate and qualify yourself. Furthermore, we connect investors with the startups, and yes, there's always something going on with us. We organize events related to the topics of founding and entrepreneurship all the year round, and from beginner courses to specialized workshops, there's something for everyone. I myself have been working for KWT for about 1.5 years as a startup advisor with a focus on financing and female empowerment. And yes, again, feel free to contact us. And now we move to our projects, and I'd love to begin with Vedrana Sokolik Grün from Saarland International, who is also co-organizer of the event today. And she will be speaking about the newly founded CoHub 66, founded in July of this year. And yes, Saarland International belongs to the SARES, a business development agency of the federal state, and they support small and medium-sized enterprises on their way into international businesses, including support programs, national and international trade fairs with Saarland joint stands, and a special internationalization program for startups. So the stage is yours.
Madeleine, thank you very much. And thank you also very much for the possibility to present Saarland International and the new CoHub 66 today. My name is Vedrana Sokolik Grün. I am the project manager of Global Up, which is a new project in the scope of Saarland International. But let me first start with CoHub 66. The caption of this new place in Saarbrücken is Vernetzen, Machen, Gründen, which means network, make, found. And these 3 words pretty much describe the purpose of CoHub 66 and also the possibilities our target group has in this place. Okay, on this slide, you can see the floor plan of CoHub 66. We have about 800 square meters divided into 5 areas, aside from the office space, which is yellow in this picture. We have also a welcome area where the communication and the networking should take place, an event area, meeting rooms, and also a fab lab. CoHub 66 is a cooperation project and not a co-working space, so we do not rent workstations or rooms for events. Instead, we want to create a place of networking and making for founders, for entrepreneurs, for small and medium-sized enterprises, and also for inventors and people with new business ideas. So with the CoHub 66, we want to help shaping the economic transformation, to help developing viable and sustainable business models and collaborations, and to help building up and supporting hidden champions in Saarland. CoHub 66 is funded by the Saarland Ministry of Economics, and it is also cross-institutional and cross-sectoral. So, which means in CoHub 66, you can turn your ideas into reality, you can scale your business model and find cooperations for your business or your idea. And other important priorities are, for example, on one hand, the support of cross-innovation, and on the other hand, making XR technology accessible to all. And also the Fab Lab, which will be kind of the heart of this place. The Fab Lab is currently set up. But in Saarland, there are some other Fab Labs, but all of them have access limitations. So you have to be, for example, a university student or a member of a specific organization to be able to use those Fab Labs. The CoHub 66 Fab Lab has no such limitations. So everyone who has a product idea, who wants to make a prototype and does not want to buy or cannot afford an own 3D printer, for example, can use our Fab Lab for a small fee. Okay, I already mentioned that CoHub 66 is a cooperation project, and the projects involved are Doc 11. This is our cluster for creative industries in Saarland, Saarland International, of course, and Global Up, which I will present later. The new project First Stop Shop, which is basically the first contact person when you have a business idea or when you want to found a company or a startup. K8, this is the Transfer Institute of Saarland's University of Art and Design. The SIKB, the Saarländische Investitionskreditbank, so the Investment Credit Bank of Saarland, which is a business development bank, and SCOOP, a cooperative in the creative sector. So you see these projects come from very different sectors and are active in very different fields. Yes, 2 of those projects I will present now in more detail. First of all, there is Saarland International, which is Saarland's foreign trade promotion agency. We are supporting Saarland-based small and medium-sized companies to enter new markets. With the help of our network, we can provide useful information about target markets and contacts all over the world. Our partners are, for example, the Enterprise Europe Network, the German Chambers of Commerce abroad, or Interguest worldwide. So what do we do? As you can see on these photos, we organize business delegation trips to various countries, sometimes even with political support. We also welcome foreign delegations in Saarland. We organize international B2B matchings and events on various topics in the field of internationalization. And last but not least, we also organize Saarland joint participations at leading international trade fairs, mostly in Germany, but in some cases also abroad. And in addition to this, we can also support Saarland-based small and medium-sized enterprises with our promotion scheme. Hereby, we can support the development and the implementation of measures of internationalization, so the first steps into a new market. This is open to all sectors, and due to the current Corona situation, we were able to increase our promotion rates, so we can promote up to 70% of the costs incurred, and this up to a maximum of 7,500 euros. In recent years, we have observed a greater need for support for internationalization efforts among startups, but we also realized that in some points they need support for different measures than, let's say, the classic medium-sized company. This is why we developed Global Up, a program especially designed to support the internationalization of startups. The program is currently being set up and will consist of 2 different program lines. The first, Take Off from Saarland, will promote Saarland-based startups in developing internationalization skills and know-how. There will be financial support, for example, for consultancy and coaching on international business issues, and also for steps into the target market. Per startup, we can grant a funding up to 75% of the costs, up to a maximum of 10,000 euros. And the second program line will be Connecting to Saarland. Connecting to Saarland shall enable international exchange inside Saarland. For this, we invite innovative startups from abroad for kind of an internship in Saarland, where they can connect to companies and support structures in Saarland, and also use the CoHub 66 infrastructure here. And we took recently we took the first step towards implementing our goals in Global Up by establishing a Saarland representation in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is a very interesting place for startups all over the world, and also for our startups from Saarland. It has one of the most vibrant startup cultures in the world, with excellent access to talents, and sometimes more important, also to capital. Nevertheless, staying there is very time consuming and above all very expensive. So therefore, entering the market needs to be very carefully planned. Our partner Julian Bartsch, which you can see on this picture in the middle in front of the American flag, or behind the American flag, is representing the Saarland and the Saarland economy on site in Silicon Valley and the San Francisco Bay Area. And he can provide information and important tips for startups on the startup ecosystem in Silicon Valley. And in addition, an individual initial consultation is available also for Saarland startups, as well as for small and medium-sized enterprises and research institutions from Saarland. So yeah, this was my wrap-up of CoHub 66 and Saarland International, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vedrana. Considering the time, we will skip the questions, and I think questions, of course, can be asked in bilateral meetings then. So thank you. And next is Sönke Zehle from Health AI, the Intelligent Health Space Saar. He was speaking about Health AI, one of the projects supported by federal funds in the frame of Wir Wandel durch Innovation der Region. Translated, it will be We Change Through Innovation in the Region. And the main program started back in 2017 as a first pilot. And in August 2021, Health AI was selected as one of 23 alliances to be implemented. So, Sönke, the stage is yours.
Thanks so much, Madeleine. You have my slides. I'm sorry, I apologize for the hideous design. That was just a spur of the moment thing. So I'll be super brief. The idea is that we think that the health sector is in fact already one of the kind of hidden champions in our region, employing about 80,000 people. By way of comparison, I think automotive has around 40,000. And so we decided to give this a push through sort of a regional sandboxing approach. And I'll briefly present this to you. And this is also a bit of background on the session this afternoon. Next slide, please. Okay, you can skip that. I teach full-time and I'm a sidepreneur, if you will. These are, if we had time, this is what I would go through, our understanding of sandboxing. Most of you are familiar with this as a kind of regional development approach. Why do we emphasize co-creation so much? What's the data space design context? I would be talking about Gaia X and things like this, but also about entrepreneurship. As you know, healthcare relates to many, many other sectors and concerns, environmental concerns, smart city development, well-being, etc. So we need an entrepreneurship approach that works with that. And then the Health AI network. And now, right now, I'll just focus on this last part, which is the next slide. Okay, so here is the network. You can take a look at the website. Translations are coming up. We have basically decided to take up this language of data spaces and make it part of our project description. So the Gesundheitsraum, the intelligent health space, is sort of riding on this current policy discourse, trying to establish national and European data spaces for health data. Next slide. So these are three organizations. You already heard about K8. I'm one of the CEOs of K8, and NanoBioNet has organized a lot of the entrepreneur networks in the region. If you're familiar with this, the German funding program for that is SIM, to kind of foreground the key role that SMEs are playing in Germany's technology-driven innovation dynamics. And NanoBioNet has been organizing a lot of these networks for our state. And then Saarland University is on board with its medical research expertise, specifically interested in shifting the focus in the healthcare conversation from treatment to prevention. So rather than treating what has already happened and occurred, we'd rather have a more prevention-oriented approach. And this is, of course, the link to the use of AI as sort of a master paradigm for predictive analytics. Next slide. Right now, we had 9 months to engage stakeholders in the region. Health AI already is the biggest healthcare network in the region with over 100 members. It's an open network. You can join if you want. Contact us through the website. There's sort of an onboarding survey based on a game design kind of levels of engagement approach. And as I said before, we'll have versions of English and French up soon. Next slide. Okay, I didn't have time to translate this, but basically this is the idea, the basic vision, to say the focus is not the hospital. The focus is how we can lead healthy lives and work in a way that helps us sustain this health. And through that, and this is the next slide, in human-centric design, we basically tap into the promise of AI to deliver customized solutions. We both want to improve the quality and the user orientation of what happens both in urban and regional contexts. It's a big issue here for the region is telemedicine, etc. And just generally think about the future of life and work from a health perspective. Next slide. And how we get there is, of course, is that we try to assist Health AI as a network to facilitate the development, the co-development of R&D projects. We can make federal funding available for this through the network, about 15 million euros over the next 6 years, which is not much, really, but it's more of it's an incentive to engage with other stakeholders, and of course, we'll make other funding instruments available as we discover them. We also use, this is a wordplay that doesn't work so well in English, but in German, KI for us refers to künstliche Intelligenz, so artificial intelligence, but also collective intelligence, because we realize that if you want transformation in the healthcare sector, this cannot just be a technology-driven conversation. It has to involve all the actors involved. And so if we want the system as a whole to become more intelligent, we need to bring the people on board involved in the system, which is why there's the head in the middle. The system isn't directly the network approach on specific R&D projects, but a general conversation of what does it mean to make the processes and systems in the healthcare system more intelligent. If data can play a role in driving this, great. If there are other ways to make the system more intelligent, be my guest. And then, of course, as you all know, healthcare is not a market, but it's also not exclusively a public good. It's a very complicated value creation dynamic. So we need to keep that into mind as we bring new stakeholders into this conversation. And then, of course, at the end of the day, it all rides on the question of whether you trust the process. Next slide. This has already been mentioned by my colleagues, so I'll skip this to the next slide. The CoHub does play a role in this because we actually have a sort of living lab approach for the Health AI network. We'll build this into the CoHub as a central hub in the state's capital. But what we plan to do is to integrate local research satellites in companies, research organizations, et cetera, that are willing to open their innovation environments to network partners. And this is also why we want to organize the network, not through a standard kind of project management approach, but as a cooperative, which is to say that the network itself will actually start to operate as a startup. Next slide. This has also been mentioned, is that, of course, the use of XR will play a key role in medical analysis and training. We already have the first research project on the use of virtual reality in medical training. So you can expect some cutting edge technology input into the network's activities. Next slide. And of course, as you also know, that the data space conversation is not just about health, it's also about smart cities and the way cities have to increasingly address well-being concerns into their design strategies. So from the very beginning, we're linking the healthcare conversation to the smart cities, smart regions conversation that some of our regional cities and villages actually are already involved in. Next slide. So this is our startup. It's a co-op essentially to collaboratively engage in this process. With 5 goals, we want to empower stakeholders. We want to actually be the change that we ask others to engage in the process. We want to make sure the public sector thinks of itself as an innovation actor as well. As you know, especially in the healthcare sector, there are things to be done and that we learned from dealing with the pandemic. So we desperately need public sector innovation in the healthcare sector. Of course, we want VC and impact investment, which is why I said earlier, this federal funding is only the beginning. So we need to have a conversation about venture capital in the healthcare sector in the region. And of course, we have a broader kind of regulatory context, including Gaia X, but also related technology regulation initiatives that need to be part of this. So we want to do this not as a project management team, but as a startup of our own. And the next steps, and that'll be my last slide, is the next slide. So what do we do? Of course, if we want to get some kind of structural impact in the region, we need to define impact indicators. That's underway. If you want to be a part of that, let us know. Then one of our first research projects is that we couple this interest in creating impact with a tool to actually anticipate this impact, so that innovation actors can anticipate in their project design what kind of impact they might want to create in the region. And then, of course, we need a co-creation vision across data spaces. So healthcare is directly related, for instance, to the transformation concerns. I'm sorry, I'm still on the previous slide. Yeah. So you all know about the Green Deal. I'm mentioning this here because there's a huge amount of funding obviously available, also for European projects that link healthcare to other green transformation concerns, which is also why we need to engage stakeholders from non-healthcare sectors. In the network, we already have a lot of actors, for instance, from automotive, where health is becoming an issue, just as an example, or from energy. And as I said before, we'll build on the CoHub model to initiate a sort of regional living lab dynamic with a core in Saarbrücken and satellites in the region and partners. The rest of the presentation is just background, so I'll stop here.
Thank you very much, Sönke. I think if it's okay for you, we will skip the questions again. Thank you. So last but not least, let me introduce Arnaud de Sousa. He will be speaking about the Interact project Gecko Saar Modell. In 2019, the Euro district Saar Modell was able to position itself as a central context for Franco-German Health Cooperation, and thus it is a member of the MOSA agreement signed in 2019 with the ARS and the Ministry of Health of Saarland. And in order to reinforce this development, the Eurodistrict has submitted a project in the health field which concerns the structuring of cross-border health cooperation on the territory of the Eurodistrict Saar-Moselle. So the stage is yours.
Thank you, Madeleine, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. So my name is Arnaud de Souza. I'm project manager for the GECO project at Eurodistrict Saar-Moselle. And before I introduce you to my project, to our project, I will introduce you to the structure, to the organization I'm working in. So what's the Eurodistrict Saar-Moselle? The Eurodistrict Saar-Moselle is an EGTC, as in European Grouping for Territorial Cooperation. So in our case, cross-border cooperation. It was founded in 2010, and it's located at the French-German border. So you can see it on the map. We are gathering several intercommunalities on the French side, 5, and also the urban area of Saarbrücken. And the goal of the main objective of the Eurodistrict Saar-Moselle is to improve the living conditions of the local population. That's why we are fostering cross-border cooperation on a large scale of topics such as economic development, territorial planning and transport, interculturality and bilingualism, tourism, and also health. As far as this last topic is concerned, we didn't start from nowhere, and health cross-border cooperation didn't start with the GECO project. So as it was said from Madeleine, there are a lot of framework agreements that were signed before, such as the framework agreement between France and Germany in 2005, the agreement between the emergency services of the Région Lorraine and also of the Saarland in 2008, the convention in cardiac emergencies between Völklingen and the Forbach Hospital in 2013, and last but not least, the MOSA Convention signed in 2019, which gathers the former cardiologic convention, but also also covers the field of neurosurgery in the field of emergencies. The MOSA Convention is a framework for other cooperations to come. We have to develop it, but this convention is just a text, so it can't develop itself from its own. It needs, therefore, means and also coordination so that new cooperations come up in our region. That's why we relaunched GECO in 2020. GECO, which is a project financed by the EU, so through the Interreg program, just as Push in Gear. And it has 3 main objectives: improving the existing cooperations, the information of the population, and also structuring health cooperation in the Saar-Moselle region. For the improvement of pre-existing cooperations and also the development of new cooperations, I have several examples. First, as far as the cardiac cooperation, cardiological cooperation is concerned, you have a problem regarding the coverage of medical expenses. So for example, if a patient goes from the hospital in Forbach to the SAG Kliniken in Völklingen in order to get there a treatment, the bills which is sent from Völklingen to Forbach was usually sent by postal mail. And it was a loss of time for the hospitals. So we developed a common platform in order to improve the exchanges of information and also bills between all the concerned hospitals, but also with the health insurances funds. As far as the cooperation between emergency services from both parts of the concern are concerned. So for example, if you have a car accident on the German side of the border, but the French but the French emergency vehicle is closer to that accident. He can't intervene. He can intervene, but he has therefore to send a fax to the German emergency services in order to say him, okay, I'm going. But we all know that faxes are not read anymore, so I don't even knew that fax still exists. That's why we also provided and found a tool in order to interconnect those emergency services so that they can communicate a lot better and much faster. We are also developing new cooperations, such as in field of the nuclear medicine. So from now on, a patient from the SAG Völkingen can go, for example, to the hospital in Saar on the French side of the border in order to get a diagnosis through nuclear medicine, which was possible before in Hamburg, but Hamburg is much far away from Völkingen than Saar. Second objective of GECO, the information of the population. GECO aims indeed also to inform the population about the possibilities of cross-border healthcare, and also to identify the needs of our region in the health field, so as to guide the further cross-border cooperation in that field. That's why we established a point of contact. So that's the flyer for the point of contact. So people can call us or send us a mail in order to ask questions, just like, can I get a treatment on the other side of the border? Or how are my medical costs covered? So such question, or in order to communicate needs that can the local actors of health, so local institution also do through this point of contact. Last but not least, the third objective of the GECO project is the structuration of health cooperation in our region, a long-term structuration. Indeed, GECO carries currently all this networking, organizational, and logistic work in order to foster the cross-border cooperation. But the GECO project will end at the end of the year 2022. That's why we ordered a legal study to determine the most appropriate legal form for permanent structure, which would coordinate all that work that GECO already does. But that structure will do that on the long term. Why is it important? It's important to continue to develop further cooperations in order to give better living conditions for the inhabitants of the regions. But it's also important in order to be able to face on a local scale, to face any crisis in our cross-border region. Best example for that is, of course, the COVID crisis. That's because the Eurodistrict Saar-Moselle and all its partners knew each other, that we were able together during the first wave of the COVID crisis to organize patients transfer on the local scale. And on the second and on the third wave, we were also able to set up a common testing center for COVID-19, which was the only French-German testing center on the French-German border. So I think that's it. If I still have a few minutes, I can show you our presentation video. I don't know how much time I have left. If I have some time left.
Sorry, I think time is over.
Okay.
Sorry for that.
No problem.
But yes, information can be exchanged in the bilateral meetings then, if it's okay for you.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you very much for your presentation. And yes, we will skip the questions again then. But thanks to all of you, and I hope you had a great session. Many connections will be taking place after the sessions, I hope so. And if you need any contact information, do not hesitate to contact us. And before I will let you I will let you continue with your bilateral meetings. I'd like also to mention that whenever you need a starting point, whenever it is for your own company or for upscaling your existing company into the German market, feel free to contact us and we will be happy to assist you. Yes, then have a great day and thank you for joining.